It looks like a dehydrated turd.
Hey guys, I don't normally do stuff like this at the beginning of the video, but I just wanted to let you know I appreciate the positive comments and stuff whenever I do cooking videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make something, as it says, entitled chicken enchilada casserole or lasagna, whatever you want to call it. I still don't know what to call it. Excuse me. Anyway, I wanted to give you a background on myself. I've been a chef since I've been a cook since I was about 18 years old, and I worked in all different kinds of restaurants. I went to school and I became a full-flown chef. I've been executive chef in restaurants. I have run restaurants. I've been general manager of restaurants. When it did everything from dishwasher up to certified line cook to sous chef, all the way to executive chef. And I retired about 5 years ago from it because the world has changed so much in the cooking world. It's just not fun anymore. Dealing with customers used to always be a problem. It's even a worse problem now. People are so self-entitled. I still love to cook, and I love cooking for other people, which is what I'm making today. This is actually for somebody else. But the reason I retired, a lot of people have asked me this. I'll just flat out say it. The reason I retired is I worked with another chef at my my next to last cooking job, and the last cooking job was the same thing too. And the chef that I worked at, he was about the same or equal experience as me, but he wasn't very good. And he'd actually sabotage my dishes when it was my turn to cook for the lodge. It was a big club. I don't want to mention what it was. I don't have any problem with that club. I just don't feel it should be mentioned in this video. But anyway, to give you a little bit of background, among other jobs I've had, my main career has always been a chef. So now I like to cook for other people, and I hope you enjoy this video. Try it at home. It's really good. And the one thing I forgot to say at the end, put a dollop of sour cream right in the center of it before you eat it. It's going to be delicious. Try it for your family. Try it for yourself. Please leave some feedback, some comments, like and share the video. And like I said, I don't do this for money. I do it just to help people out. I get a lot of people requesting for my old recipes. Well, here's one of them, and I made this one up completely myself, so I hope you like it, and here we go. Okay, welcome to my tiny kitchen. My name is Bruce. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorites. It's right here, the finished product. It is called Enchilada Lasagna. It's my own recipe. It's something easy you can throw together if you like Mexican food, a little on the spicy side. You can actually control how spicy you want to make it. But this is one of those things that I love and my wife hates. So every time I get a chance to make it for somebody else, I make it, because then I can keep a little bit for myself. And that's the case today. A friend of mine made me a shrimp rice dish. It was really spicy and gave me some, and I'm making this to share with her. So let's get into it and see what we got to do. You want to make sure you have all your ingredients. You see how I got some flour tortillas. I got some, this is a Fiesta blend cheese. You can use regular cheddar if you want to. Just make sure you get a good quality cheese so it melts good, because like cheese from Aldi's, in my opinion, is just like plastic. You want to get yourself some enchilada sauce there on the bottom. You want to get cream of mushroom. You can use cream of chicken or cream of celery. You want to get yourself a nice bottle of salsa or picante sauce, which is both the same. Salsa is just a little more chunky than picante, but it's basically the same thing. Hot, mild, medium, whatever you choose to use. You see here I have a 9x9 glass pan I'm going to cook these in. You can use metal. I've already sprayed it with some cooking spray, and we're ready to go. We're going to get 2 chicken breasts, and we're going to throw them on the stove and get started. Okay, so our chicken's been boiling for about, I'd say about 15 minutes. We're going to turn the heat off on that. And like I said, it's about 2 chicken breasts worth. I'm using chicken tenderloins today because I had a bunch laying around. But we're just going to take them out with our tongs. If you want to, then we're going to put them in a strainer to sit to cool. But what you can do is you can break one open, twist it, and see if it's done. Or you can temp it out with a thermometer. This looks pretty good. So our chicken is definitely done. We're going to take that out and put it in this strainer. See how much I have. Oh, I hope I have enough. I hope I have enough. 2 more little ones there. And I'm just going to let that cool in the strainer. I think we're going to have enough. And yes, those are done. It took me about 15 minutes to boil them. I'm just going to set them aside in a nice clean sink. I always have a clean area. Now I have this pan out for a reason. Our chicken broth here that we have left over, I want to reuse this pan because I don't want to dirty every pan I have in the house. So I'm going to take some of this chicken broth and save it. Because this is what we're going to use in our mushroom soup instead of water or milk. I want to use some of this. So I'm just going to take some of this chicken broth and set it aside in a smaller pan, because I'm going to use this big pan for the next step. And we will get into that right now. Alright, this next step is what we're going to do with the chicken to prepare it for our mix. So take your chickens, the pieces of chicken are nice and cool now. As you can see, they are done. Always make sure they're done. Just going to break them up. I like to use a food processor just to chop them up real quick. You can use a regular knife, any way you feel comfortable. It's not rocket science, it's just to cut it up. I put it on my Ninja, zap, zap, zap. Still want there. See, it's nicely shredded. I want the shreds in there, but I don't want to like julienne it up, or not julienne, I don't want to mince it. And nice shredded chicken there. It took me a second to do. We're going to do this in 2 stages because I didn't want to get anything stuck in there. But like I said, I mean, if you don't have one of these or a food processor, no problem. You can just put it on a cutting board, carefully shred it yourself, or use a couple forks like whenever my wife makes her Italian roast beef. And see, I got a big chunk there. We're going to hold on to that. Always when working with chicken, make sure you sanitize your tables before and after you start, because chicken can carry salmonella, and I wouldn't want anybody to get sick. Okay, that's about perfect. That's about perfect. Got my dog trying to help me here. Anytime there's food flying around, the dog has to be right at my feet, so probably bump the camera. Get out. Get out of the kitchen. Good dog. Okay, so we'll set that in the sink ready to wash. Now, this is just some bland chicken. It's just chicken. You're like, well, Bruce, it's, you know, you boil it, it's not going to have much flavor. You're right. So I like to put a little Cajun seasoning in there. When I say a little, I mean a lot. I mean, we're making enchiladas. It's supposed to be kind of spicy. This is some chili powder. Different brands of stuff. So it doesn't really matter to me. If it's a cheaper brand, I'd use more of it. And then just to keep it a little bit wet, I like to add a little bit of my picante sauce or my salsa. Just like that. And then we're going to stir it around. I could have used a bigger pan. In fact, I should have. But this is what we have to work with today. So just get those spices mixed. If it's not mixed perfect, don't worry about it, because of our next step, it's going to get mixed up even more. So, but I always like to add little spices in there. In fact, we're going to go a little more with the chili powder, because that's my taste. I want a little zip to it. It's an enchilada. It's not supposed to be bland. A little bit more Cajun, and that should be fine on that. Like I said, I just like pre-season it. All this stuff's going to go in there when we make it anyway, so but this will give it a chance to soak while we're doing our next step. And now on to our next step. Okay, super fun time. On to the next one. Now we get our cream of mushroom soup that we have here. I emptied this pan from all the chicken broth. I actually ended up pouring it back into that pan there just to have it, because whatever you don't use, you can put in the refrigerator and use for soup. Now, this is a regular cream of mushroom soup like any other thing you buy in the store. They tell you to add a can of water. We're not going to add a can of water. It waters it down the flavor. What we are going to add is a cup of the chicken broth that we saved. So we'll fill our cup up with the chicken broth like this. And if you put a little too much in there, it doesn't matter. This isn't an exact science. And then I'm going to rinse this out a little bit. I don't like to leave anything in the can. Now, normally I would make all this from scratch, but this is just supposed to be a quick and easy recipe for people that want to taste something yummy. I got my heat on about medium here, and all you want to do is just mix in and blend your soup with your chicken broth until it gets nice and even. And we're going to heat that up. Skip through this a little bit because it takes about maybe 3 minutes to heat up, which I don't want to waste on the video, so we'll pause it right now. Okay, so my soup was nice and warmed up. You don't really got to heat it real hot. And I instinctively dumped a cup of the picante sauce in there, which is about what I wanted. In fact, I want a little bit more. I forgot to turn the camera on. So that was a cup of picante sauce. And we just stir that around, get a little warmed up. Doesn't have to be too hot. In fact, you really don't want it too hot because when we had the cheese. Now I got my picante sauce in there, my cream mushroom soup with the broth. I'm going to add my chicken. Remember I said it didn't matter if you didn't mix the chicken up good enough, because this is where the spices will all spread out. And stir that up. You just got to warm it up because we're going to bake this. When we bake it, it should get nice and hot. As long as you know your chicken's done. And I knew this chicken was done, like I showed you. So there's that. So we got in here the mushrooms. Just to recap, the cream of mushroom soup, a cup of salsa or picante sauce. And then after that gets in there, warmed up a little bit, the last thing you throw in is about a cup of cheese. I like a lot of cheese, so we're putting about a cup and a half in there. If you look in the description, I promised myself I would write the recipe down. Just mix that cheese. Oh, kill the heat. You don't have to cook it anymore after you throw the cheese in. Just spread that cheese around, fold it in, stir it in, whatever you want to call it. And these are our guts for our enchilada casserole, enchilada lasagna, whatever. I still don't have a name for it. Let's go on to the next step. That's building it. Okay, now the hard part's done. We get to do the fun part, which is building this lasagna. And you get your regular flour tortillas, throw it in a 9x9 pan. Now, if you notice right away, tortilla is round, a pan is square. Now, if you're okay with that, you can leave it be like that. But what I like to do, just to make it more consistent, is I will trim these up. And I know, yes, these are kitchen shears. I will trim them up and make them squares so they fit better. And these little chips won't go to waste either. These little pieces parts. They will go in here. Or, you know, if you don't want to put them in here, you can throw them in the fryer and they give you some really good tortilla chip things. I think I might have cut this too small because I'm hurrying. So there. Now that goes in the bottom there. I just like to make sure the whole bottom is covered square, which today I'm going to use these chips to finish covering it. And it goes like that. You don't have to cut them. You can leave them round like they were, but I just prefer the bottom layer to be square. Take a spoonful of your, I call it guts. Take a spoon, look at that cheese. Look at that cheese, that looks so good. And just spread it on the first layer. Now it's up to you how many layers you want to make. You can make it all the way to the top, make it mound over. Completely up to you. But I like to make sure that first layer has a nice coating of my stuff. And we'll go with another one of these. I'm not going to trim this one because the bottom was the most important. Put that on top. You want to tamp it down, spreading out your filling on the bottom. Just like you're making a lasagna. And then if you want to put a little salsa in there, just put a little salsa in there. This is completely up to you how you want to build it. I'm just going to throw a little salsa down on this layer, add some extra flavor. Picante sauce. A little more of this. Oh, look at that cheese. This isn't even that hot and it's got that cheese melting so nice. All the way to the edges on your second level for sure. Like I said, this is a 9x9 glass pan. Look at that. I got cheese everywhere. Put another tortilla. You know what? I'm actually going to trim this tortilla because now I'm building up a little edge here on the side. So let's take these edges off. Try not to take so much off like I did last time. It's easier to set these down and do it with a knife on a cutting board, but I don't have one set up, so using the old kitchen shears. A lot of people get these in a knife set and they don't know what to do with it. These are actually meant for a number of things. One for what I'm doing right now. You can also crack open a lobster with it. Right up the lobster shell. This is meant for cracking crabs. Also can be a bottle opener if you need it. And I'm going to cover up these edges again with my pieces parts. That's, what are we on? We're starting level 3 now. Now, if you can't find the bigger tortilla, flour tortillas, you can just get the smaller ones and piece them together. It's a lasagna. It's all going to be covered in this sauce, so no one's really going to know. Also, if you want to individually roll your enchiladas with this stuff, cut down on your chicken broths that you put in your cream of mushroom soup to make it a little thicker. And they'll stay in there nicely. You can roll them up, serve them individually, or roll them up, line them up in the pan, whatever you want to do. But today we're making lasagna because I'm actually making this for a friend of mine who asked me to do it because she made me a shrimp dish the other day. My wife doesn't like this. She doesn't like the soft tortillas. She prefers the crunchy ones. So whenever I get a chance to make this for somebody else, that means I get to have some myself, and I am not complaining about that because this is one of my favorite dishes that my wife doesn't like.
You know, and feel free to experiment. If you could taste this this filling, if it's not hot enough for you, you can take a little chili powder and sprinkle in here when you're making it. Whatever you want to do. Hey, how about this? It worked out perfect. One last tortilla for the top. And I'm actually out of the good ones. I have these in case I needed them. But we're going to go right like that. And then we're going to get our enchilada sauce, which I have to open. This is just regular, I don't even know what brand it is. It's got enchilada sauce. It is a, well, what I got here is a 28-ounce can. Don't know if we're going to use it all, though. Give me a second to open this. Just got in a huge fight with a can opener, but I got it open. So we're going to take our enchilada sauce, pour it right in the center. And it's going to soak all down in. Soak all down in through there, and that's fine. We want it to. This is going to make it a little liquidy. That's the way I like it. Set that aside. After your enchilada sauce, I've already preheated my oven to 350. After the enchilada sauce, we get some cheese. Use as much or as little as you want to, but I like a lot of cheese. So we're going to load that up just like that. Just like that. Yeah, it can get messy, but it is what it is. I feel like I have to rush when I'm on camera so I don't make an extra long video. And that's that. We're going to put that in the oven at 350 for, well, I don't know how long yet. Just long enough to melt that cheese. And we'll be right back. So it's been about 6 minutes in the oven at 350. It was just enough to melt that cheese. You can leave it in longer. It's your preference. That's actually ready to eat now. If you want to dig into it right now, that's fine. It'll be a little soupy, but it'll be good. But I actually recommend reheating this the next day. It's much better the next day or after it cools down like a regular lasagna. Just cut it in squares and go to town on it. And that's that. Let's go to the outro and see you next time. Okay, so that's how you make it. You see it came out really nice. It was only five or 6 minutes in the oven. I'm happy with it. I hope she's going to like it. There's different ways you can change it up. Like I said, you can roll the enchiladas yourself if you want just single enchiladas. I prefer lasagna. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and once it cools down, I'm going to cut it and reheat it. To me, that's just the best way to eat it. It doesn't fall apart. It also lets all those juices soak into the tortillas. That's how I like it. Or you can just dig in right now and eat it, whatever you want to do. Anyway, questions, I'm going to try to put the recipe in the description the best I can, because if you see, I just kind of made it up. And hopefully you'll try it at home and you'll like it for you and your family. So anyway, I'm Bruce, and thank you.
It looks like a dehydrated turd.